Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to do the lesson Visionary Leadership by Kiran Bedi. Kiran Bedi is very famous in India. She is a living legend, right? And she is primarily a police officer, though she has other sides to her personality. So today we're going to find out about what makes a visionary leader. Visionary means a person who has a vision. Vision primarily means what you think of the future, right? So, uh, when you realize your dreams, when you make others in your organization realize their dreams also, along with your own goals, then you are a visionary leader. So, first we read about the speaker. Kiran Bedi, birth 9th June 1949. She was born in 1949, almost about 2 years after independence. Kiran Bedi is an Indian social activist, former tennis player who became the first woman in India to join the officer ranks of the Indian Police Service. You know, the administrative services, that is, bureaucracy in India has got various branches. One of them, we all know, is the Indian Administrative Service, the IAS. The other is the IFS, the Indian Foreign Service. Then, Foreign Service, then you also have the Indian Forest Service, and you have the Indian Police Service, IPS. So, up to the time of Kiran Bedi in India, no woman had become an officer in the IPS, but she was the first to join the officer ranks of the IPS in 1972 and was the 24th Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry from 28th May 2016 to 16th February 2021. So, after she left the Indian Police Service, she became the Governor of Puducherry, what was formerly known as Pondicherry. She became the Governor of that territory, Lieutenant Governor, and she was the Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry up to 2021. She remained in service for 35 years before taking voluntary retirement. In 2007 as Director General, Bureau of Police Research and Development. Right? So her final posting was a very high one. She was the Director General of the Bureau of Police Research and Development, and she left public service in 2007. In May 1993, Bedi was posted to the Delhi prisons as Inspector General. Right? She introduced several reforms at Tihar Jail, which won her the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 1994. Right? So Tihar Jail is a very famous jail, which has housed many well-known criminals. There was Charles Sobraj, who was incarcerated in Tihar Jail. So she introduced many reforms. Reforms means, see, these prisoners, they are outcasts. They are actually not wanted by society. To bring them back into the mainstream of society, you need to do things like educate them and give them a vocation so that they can be reintroduced into mainstream society. So she undertook such reforms in Tihar Jail. In 2003, Bedi became the first Indian woman to be appointed head of the United Nations Police and Police Advisor in the United Nations Department of Peace Operations. So that's yet another very high post that she held, right? She was appointed the head of the United Nations Police. The United Nations means, as we know, it's an organization whose members are all the nations of the world, United Nations. So you have police forces in individual countries, but you have the police force in the United Nations, right? United Nations Police and Police Advisor in United Nations Department of Peace Operations. So the United Nations, one of the functions of the United Nations is to see that no wars break out between countries. So if there is unrest or turmoil anywhere in the world, then the United Nations has sent in, its forces to keep peace. So she worked in the Department of Peace Operations as a police officer. She resigned in 2007 to focus on social activism and writing. She runs the India Vision Foundation, right? During 2008 to 11, she hosted a court show, Aapki Kacheri. So that was a very popular show which was aired on TV. She was one of the key leaders of the 2011 India anti-corruption movement, right? She reaches out to more than 10,000 people daily through her two NGOs, Navjyoti and India Vision Foundation, right? So she has not only served society as a police officer. She's right now, and she's working. She's reaching out to more than 10,000 people from, probably from the poorer sections of society, uplifting them through her two NGOs, non-governmental organizations, Navjyoti and India Vision Foundation, which provide education, training, counseling and health care to the urban and rural poor, right? So she serves the cause of society by uplifting the rural and urban poor. Through her two NGOs, India Vision Foundation and Navjyoti, she provides training, counseling and health care, right? Training in the sense of vocational training, training in agriculture and so on and so forth. Counseling. So, it's not that these poorer sections of society are free from traumas, traumatic conditions of the mind and body. So she counsels them on how best to deal and achieve inner solace and peace. Counseling, right? Advising on how to become a better person, right? So she offers counseling and health care, right? She sees to it that, medicines and hygienic conditions are given to all those urban and rural poor. For example, the urban poor live in slums, right? So she gives them health care because of and she sees that they live in tolerably clean surroundings, right? So she advises them, counsels them, offers them health care and so on. Her latest initiative, Mission Safer India, right? Now this is the latest project of hers, Mission Safer India, aims to ensure the police log and address citizen complaints. So she's not lost touch with her former organization. She sees to it that the police log in and register and respond to complaints from the public. Sees that timely action is taken by the police on any problem that they face, right? Her life is the subject of the 2008 documentary Yes, Madam Sir, narrated by Helen Mirren, right? So yes, Madam Sir, that's how you, Madam Sir, that's how you address, lady leader, right? And so, see, in Britain there was a TV show called Yes Minister, and then it became Yes Prime Minister, when the minister became a Prime Minister. Yes Minister. So, that's what all people's, everyone, yes, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, right? So, yes is a term of what? It's a term which is used by ordinary people towards those in authority. We can't say no. Okay. So, yes, madam, sir. That term, yes, is a famous of many famous, TV shows, and it's in fact used by many people in society. Yes, yes, right? Yes, madam, sir. Narrated by Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren is one of the leading, actresses in Hollywood, right? So from Hollywood to India, there's a connection, right? Speech. Now I'm going to give you a story, right? So this is Kiran Bedi herself speaking. Now here in this lesson, we're told about the formative influences of Kiran Bedi, how she was born, how she was brought up, what her, economic situation was like, what her social situation was like, schooling. So with that foundation, she achieved all this. She became, went to the UN, right? So it's a foundation. The childhood is a foundation, right? Now, it is an Indian story about an Indian woman and her journey. So her whole life is an Indian story about an Indian woman and her journey. Journey in the sense of her path in life. I am a product of. Let me begin with my parents. So the first formative influence on her was her parents, right? I am a product of this visionary mother and father. I have told you the word visionary means one who has a vision or a dream about the future. So both her parents, mother and father, they were visionaries. And they saw to it that she, along with her siblings, reached very high places in life. So it's the mother and father which formed her life, right? Many of this visionary mother and father. Many years ago, when I was born in the 50s, right? 50s and 60s didn't belong to girls in India, they belonged to boys. So in those days, it was still a very orthodox sort of society. Women are not supposed to go to the office. Women were not even supposed to be educated, right? They were not even given a chance to read and write. Often the schooling was limited to some, tallying of the budget, like groceries, this. That's all it was limited to. But her mother and father in that time, okay, they had a vision, right? So in the 50s and 60s, they belonged to boys. Boys were the people, among children, the boys were those who went out into society and became globetrotters and traveled the world and so on and so forth, right? They belonged to boys who would join business and inherit business from parents, right? So, and girls would be dolled up to get married. Dolled up means once they reach, a suitable age, they would be, dolled up. Dolled up means made up like a doll, right? And paraded in all the parties, right? So that they get a suitable husband, right? So, okay, so they'll be dolled up to get married, right? My family in my city and almost in the country was unique. So, her own family, Kiran Bedi's own family, in that city in which she was born, and almost in the whole country was unique. Unique means special. In that, why was it unique? We were four of us, not one, and fortunately no boys. We were four of us, there were four sisters. Kiran Bedi was one of four sisters, and no boys, right? And she says fortunately, because if there had been a boy, then he would have gotten all the attention, right? So, see, fortunately no boys. We were four girls and no boys, and my parents were part of a landed property family. So where do you need an income? Where did they get the income from? From landed property, right? So every year they sold the crops, and and in the city they lived in a mansion, sort of cosmopolitan, going around the city in all the high class places, clubs and so on, going across the world, right? They belonged to a family which had landed property, right? My father defied his own grandfather, almost to the point of disinheritance. So the grandfather of Kiran Bedi wanted his four granddaughters to be paraded in the parties, in the clubs, so that they could get they should have been daughter and offered in marriage to various suitable boys who came from business families or who had wealth, right? But his father, her father, Kiran Bedi's father, rebelled against the grandfather, almost to the point of disinheritance. Means the grandfather almost wrote a will which said, I won't give my property to my son. Almost to the point of disinheritance. So there's a clash of views between the grandfather and the father, right? So this is the thing. Because why did this happen? Because he decided to educate all four of us. Mere fact of educating the four sisters was enough to make her grandfather see red. See red means the term, which is when you have a bullfight, bullfighting, you wear the red cloth, sees red, So grandfather saw red only because Kiran Bedi's father decided to educate all four. Nowadays, he sent us to one of the best schools in the city, right? So no compromise on this, right? He sent us to one of the best schools in the city and gave us the best education. As I've said, when we are born, we don't choose our parents. Okay? When we are born, we don't choose our parents. And when we go to school, we don't choose our school. Right? So the parents choose a school. Right? Children don't choose a school, they just get the school which parents choose for them. Okay? So this is the foundation time which I got. This is a foundation. Foundation time means foundation of her whole life, right? Which she got. Right? Okay. I grew up like this, and so did my other three sisters, going to the best schools, meeting the best people of that time. Hobnobbing means mixing, exchanging views, playing also as children, right? Get the best society in that time for a child, right? So, as I said, as I told you, maybe, about education, what does one thinker say about education? See, tuition forms a high part of the fees, tuition that you get forms a high part. But what is offered for free in your education institution is the company of your friends. You get to mix with the best, right? That is free. The tuition takes up a great part of the budget, but the company of your friends, who you can network with later on, perhaps, the views you exchange, the way you, discuss things, all these, they are free, right? So this is what, Kiran Bedi went to one of the best schools of that place, and her mind was shaped like this, right? And my father used to say at that time, I'm going to spread all my four daughters in the four corners of the world. Right? When they were still young, One is going to go to this place in the world, another is going to go to that place, and so on. 4 daughters in the 4 corners of the countries, right? I don't know if he really meant that, right? But it happened. So that's what happened. I am the only one who's left in India. All the other 3 are elsewhere in different countries. One is a British citizen, another is an American, and the third is a Canadian. Right? So we are 4 of us in the 4 corners of the world. The father might have meant it light-heartedly as a joke. But education is the passport to the world, where you go out, right, and see the world. And since I said they are my role models, I follow 2 things which my father and mother gave me. So the parents were the role models. She looked up to them for their behavior, for comfort, for all things, right? So she kept two sentences of what they said in her mind, right? One, they said, life is on an incline, right? You either go up or you come down. And the second thing which has stayed in me, which became my philosophy of life, which made all the difference is, 100 things happen in your life, good or bad. Out of 100, 90 are your creation, they're good. They're your creation. Enjoy it. If they're bad, they're your creation. Learn from it. 10 are nature, sent over which you can't do a thing. It's like a death or a relative, death of a relative or a cyclone or a hurricane or an earthquake. You can't do a thing about it. You've got to just respond to the situation. But that response comes out of those 90 points. Now, the 2 sentences she kept in her mind. What were they? One is, the first thing the parents told her was, life is on an incline. Incline is like a road which goes up. So life is like walking up. See, if you can't sit still on flat ground, on level ground where you know everything, you're still, you're not doing anything. But when it's on the incline, you either go up or you come down, right? So, and one more thing is, another thinker like Albert Einstein, who is Albert Einstein, says, life is like a cycle. You have to keep moving to keep even balance, right? So life is on an incline, right? You either go up or you come down. That's the first sentence she kept in mind, right? So she decided to go up, right? And the second thing which has stayed in her mind, even after the parents passed away, this is the second saying of her parents. What is that? 100 things happen to you in your life. So many things happen to us in life, right? Out of the 100, 90 are your creation. Okay? Out of the 100, 90 events are made by you. You do them, right? They are good. If they are good, the result will be good, including your thoughts. What you see? Okay, they're good. They're your creation. Enjoy it, right? Because you have created it, you should enjoy the fruits of what you've done, right? If they are bad, suppose something by chance, not intentionally, by chance something bad happens, learn from it, right? So you've done 90 things, 100 things have happened, 90 are your own, right? The other 10 are not your own, you're not responsible for. It could be something like the death of a relative, or a cyclone, or an earthquake, right? You just got to respond to that. You just respond to that situation, right? So, but that response comes from the other 90. What you learned, what you know, all these, the other 90 decide your response to the 10 which are not in your control, right? So, These are the two sayings of her parents she kept with her even after they passed away. And that's become her philosophy of life. Right? So, you see, there is a saying. All those great men of ancient times have long away molded with their bones. When the great minds of the ancient times, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Aristotle, Socrates, Euripides, all the great men, even the great people you know, they have passed away. They have long ago molded away with their bones. Even their bones have become dust maybe. All that remains is their words. Their words are all that remain. Said by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is one of the thinkers of ancient China. He is the founder of Taoism. All those great men of ancient times are long away molded with their bones. Their words are all that remain. Right? So here she's kept in mind what her parents said. Right? And she's acted upon that. Okay? And this is where she has reached. Okay? Okay. Since I'm a product of this philosophy, okay, following it closely, that philosophy, doing 90 things which she wants to do, which are her creation, the results of which she enjoys, right? 90 are a product of this philosophy. Her whole life is a product of this philosophy. Of 90 out of 10, and secondly, life on incline. That's the way I grew up to be valuing what I got. So, because she actually made an effort to do something, she valued what she got. Right? Okay, I am a product of opportunities. Rare opportunities in the 50s and 60s. Right? Which girls didn't get, and I was conscious of the fact that what my parents were giving me was something unique. So she was aware that what was going on in her life, her schooling, all that was something unique. So that set her apart, right? If you are aware that you have something special with you, right? So for many people it's like something like a big jewel, right? Something sets you apart. So it's as precious as that. Right? Because all of my best school friends were getting dolled up to get married with a lot of dowries. The girls were doing that. And here I was with a tennis racket and going to school and doing all kinds of extracurricular activities. She's there with a tennis racket, right, wearing the skirts, or maybe it's the saddles or something. And she's going with this tennis racket to school and doing all sorts of extracurricular activities. I thought I must tell you this. Why I said this is the background. This is the background to her life. Okay. So we'll stop there. Okay. Thank you.